Men live a harder life than women, and I got data here to show you. Now, obviously, this upsets a lot of different people saying, "Pat, how could you say something like that? Blanket statement, men live a harder life than women?" Yes. Brace for impact, whether you're going to like it or not. Wait till the end. If you do get value out of this, and he said this is kind of a good point he's making, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. If not, go watch a different video. Okay, so let's get right into it. So based on a research done, DNA research by Dr. Baumeister, he explains that in today's human population is descended from twice as many women as men. Now, what does this mean? In the history of mankind, 80% of women have reproduced and have had kids. Only 40% of men have ever reproduced.
Wow.
So
Stop right there.
women, 40.
So that's the first point right there. We have said this multiple times. And for those of you who want the references, you have to go to his YouTube video. He lists all of them there.
Mhm.
I have surmised time and time again on this podcast that women have more sex than men, and this is the proof. The proof
Yeah.
is in the breeding. Um, Almost at double the rate, as a matter of fact. Kevin Sim used to always talk about one half of men are single and childless, and we also know that incels are on the rise. 1 in 3 men have not had any sexual contact within the last year.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, women are getting it in. Like that number does not correlate with the opposite sex. So now we've established a premise that women are having more sex than men.
Yeah, that's a very fascinating point, though, because we always hear this conversation that a lot of men just have kids, or at least when it comes to dating, a lot of women imply that, you know, all these men have kids, yada yada, and definitely not the case. I mean, after like doing some research, I have realized that yeah, men are not out here. Men do not have like a crazy amount of kids. We have like a lot of women with, you know, a man could have like 4 baby mamas, 5 baby mamas, like very easily. So yeah, there definitely are a lot of women that are out producing, or not out producing, but they're giving birth. So that's already implied that they're, you know, out here in these streets. But
And
yeah,
yeah, my bad. I'll go ahead.
I was gonna say like yeah, no, that's just crazy. Like to put it that way is actually pretty clear. I think most people should understand that.
Yeah. Look at it this way for anybody who's listening. Everybody has at least one friend slash relative that has multiple kids by multiple women. And
Yeah,
then on the opposite end of that, you have at least one friend slash relative who's socially awkward, who's pretty bad with dealing with women, and who has trouble connecting with them. There's never an in the middle. It's usually one extreme or the other. The middle exists, but we rarely ever see it. We're from a town we're from a city that has 1 million people, but the population, people know each other, right?
hmm,
So we know who the fertile folks are in our town. There's a very small number of guys out here clapping all the chicks and getting them pregnant in our hometown, and I'm sure that story is the same in lots of other towns.
yeah. It's a little unfortunate though, because people are still having people refuse to realize this is a thing. And then for the men out there, it's really kind of up to you because you're in high demand. Most of these women, once they get to a certain age, like in their 30s, they're still looking for a guy that doesn't have kids. And they will prefer a guy that doesn't have kids, no matter what they say or how they want to say or spin it or reframe it. They are looking for a guy that doesn't have kids. So if they do have kids, then that's, you know, in some cases kind of a silver medal for them. But if they find a guy with no kid, I mean, they're definitely going to jump on that. So, you know, then if you keep it the way, if you keep it, you stay on your purpose, you're definitely going to have the pick of your, pick of your choice in most cases.
Yeah, and unfortunately, another thing that Kevin Samuels used to say is you'll never do better than the father of your first child. So
Facts.
if you got knocked up by a bum the very first time around, the chances of you doing better than that when you try it again with another guy, they're pretty low. You've
Yeah.
never heard the story of a woman who got knocked up by a bum and then turned around and married a doctor. And then I think this is the point in the conversation where a woman usually interjects and says, "Well, that happened to me." Well, ma'am, you're in the minority. The exception does not mean the rule.
Fringe minority.
Yeah. For this one, you want to jump to 124. Yep.
Men swipe right 53% of the time. That means they're interested. 47% of the time they say, nope, I'm not interested. However, for women, you ready? Ladies, this is you now. Okay, this represents your number according to Tinder. You ready? Women only swipe right 5% of the time. 95% of the time, you say, I am not interested, swipe left.
Right
A
there.
rejection to the man.
I
So
believe
that
that.
Yeah, so this is how social media impacts things, right? So now we've opened up the entire market instead of a localized market, which
Hmm.
benefits women. So these women that are on social media are used to likes, clicks, sliding in
Attention.
DMs, thirst, attention. Yep, me. Women want the me, money, energy, attention, and time. They're getting lots of attention on social media.
Yeah.
So now they're getting exposed to all of this, and their egos become overinflated. Well, men don't have that same experience. So now the scales are like getting out of balance. So now we're leaning towards women being the dominant force in the dating market. That's the takeaway from that part of the conversation. But again, I'm not single, but I talk to a lot of people who are, and this is
Yeah.
their observations as well.
Yeah, it's interesting that Patrick, that David had a conversation like this because CJ had something similar, but he was speaking more toward how the dating apps are monetized on your suffering. Really, this isn't about love. These apps are designed to keep you single, and it's also monetized in a way that, yeah, I mean, everyone's going to like, well, if you want to get more action or more interactions, you got to pay a little bit more, but it's actually way more sinister than that, though. So he had a conversation, or he basically described the way that when you start putting in all your attributes or all your, things about yourself, they start slotting you into a tier. They really have an algorithm, honestly. And so because of who you are, like it's terrible for black men. I mean, I'm going to tell you this. This is why it's terrible for black men, though, because when you put on your ethnicity of like what race you are or whatever, and I tested this out. I tested it out on Bumble. When I put it on Bumble, when I say I'm black, who do you think they're sending me? Who do you think they're sending me? MC.
I'm waiting to hear this. I'm
Come on,
curious. I don't know.
just tell me.
Are they sending you to Becky's?
They are, but they're sending me a whole lot of women that are how you say high calorie. Um
Ah,
I don't
yeah.
know. Like this is terrible. Like I know some of the men out there, some of the black men. Look, I get it that you don't have like a real standard or something like that. But I am not taking high calorie individuals. I don't care what it is. I don't care how you want to describe it. But because I put it on there that I'm a black American, they send me high calorie individuals because I'm assuming from their algorithm, this is what black men tend to like on there. And if you don't believe me, create a Bumble or recreate your account and then don't put your ethnicity if you can. I don't think I mean I don't know about the other ones, but I know when it comes to like your ethnicity on Bumble, you can actually just leave it off. So it's definitely up to you if you want to test it out. But you'll see a different segment of women, and then for the women that are top tier, they lock them behind like a paywall. So if you see a woman you do like, chances are you're not going to be able to swipe on her anyways because they want the men to pay to interact with that woman. And we just saw with Patrick Bet David, there's only 5% of women that are really liking or really interacting on the app where they're, that they generally have an interest in or, genuine. But there's some interest there. But it's a very small percentage though. So when you do find someone or you find a woman, she likes you or whatever the case is, I mean, that's actually a pretty good thing though. But again, the odds are stacked against you.
Yeah, I think I told you over the phone a story about one of my fraternity brothers who's 24. He stepped to a chick, asked her out on a date, and she essentially said, "You have to cash out me $100 to take me out on a date."
Sheesh.
So you have to pay her in order to take her out to pay for the date again.
Hmm.
Like I keep hearing this, and Coach Greg Adams talks about how dating essentially is prostitution, and I'm starting to wonder if there's some validity to that because it seems like that's how it's evolving. It really does.
Oh, isn't marriage prostitution too?
So this is where it gets tricky because married women want the same meat that single women want, right? Money,
Mhm.
energy, attention, and time. And this is where I get into the conversation of what's the difference between a simp and a good man. When the reality is they're more similar than they are different. There's really only one difference. The difference between a simp and a good man is the woman that he's providing for, does she deserve it? If she does not and you're giving it to her anyway, then you're a simp. If she's a woman who is doing all of her duties in the house and taking care of the family, make sure everybody's good, that makes you a good man. So it's really easy to get them confused because they are very similar. It comes down to the intent of the woman that you're providing for because we are providers by nature. Now, let me ask you a quick trivia question. According to the CDC, because you talked about high calories, of course, we're getting fatter as a country, but what race of people do you think are the fattest in the United States?
Oh, unfortunately, I think it's gonna fall on the black community.
It does fall on the black community. 49.9% of black people in the United States are considered obese. But
Hmm.
I'll tell you what, the Hispanic folks are catching up with us. They're at
Oh, I
45.6.
know
So
they are.
yeah, there's definitely some weight challenges going on right now in this country. And for the record, I'm glad RFK is going to be running Health and Human Services because he's going to help with some of that stuff.
Yeah, you would think with when it comes to RFK when he's getting confirmed, a lot of people have a lot of issues with it. And it's like, do you guys not see what's going on with like just food in America? And then some of the things that if you go to a different, part of the world, they don't have all these, ingredients or things that keep food fresh for like, 30 days. Like that's not natural. So you would think people would be a little more open to RFK though, but unfortunately, that's another topic for a conversation though. But yeah, getting back to the whole dating thing, is definitely a scam. So if you're out there trying to find and there are going to be people out there that are going to say like, oh well, I know so and so found their soulmate or whatever, their wife or whatever. Yeah, we all know a couple of people that have definitely found their person on those dating apps. The majority of you will not. There, there's not going to be any there's not going to be a wedding, there's not going to be a like your forever after, like those conversations are not even happening anymore. I feel like that was kind of a thing back in 2020 where a lot of people were kind of stuck in, so they had to make relationships happen a little bit more than they usually would. But when it comes to like this dating nowadays, nope, it's straight up monetized. And honestly, I would think for a lot of women out there, you should know that these dating apps are actually pimping you out. Because again, when I said earlier, the top tier women are locked behind a paywall. You're not getting paid for that. So
Yeah.
they're using you as bait to get these men to purchase more services so they can interact with you. But again, you're being pimped out and you're not even getting paid.
I'm gonna put y'all into a little game too, and I confirmed this with a coworker who used to do this. Believe it or not, a lot of these women that you see on IG that are taking these pictures in these places and they flashing all this money and these nice cars in these hotels. Do you know how they're getting that money? They're selling themselves.
Hmm. Sell the
Look in
box.
look into the Dubai contract and look into the women and how much money they make to get flown over there to have nasty and gross things done to them for a big sack of cash. And they come right back home and kiss y'all ninjas right in the mouth.
Yeah, that's you. Yep. Yeah.
Oh man.
Dating, I mean, for people thinking that dating, like I feel for the newly divorced folks that get out here, they're thinking that things are going to be a little bit smooth sailing and yada yada. It ain't like that. Like a lot of them find out the hard way, especially some of the guys, they find out like what is wrong with like these crops of women, why are women like very flaky? Like these dating apps are against men. They're not here to help you find somebody because there's more men on these dating apps than there are women, and the women are rarely engaging with folks. So when you do get on these dating apps, you better pull out all the punches. You better have professional photos and have a yacht in the background and be riding a damn tiger, whatever it is, to kind of catch their attention. Though this is what you have to do in order to get some of these top tier women. But again, like I said earlier, you kind of have to remove some of the filters on your profile. Honestly, you probably just have a blank profile and put a couple words in there because their algorithms are set up against you to remove the top tier women that you probably would like. Because I mean, for most of them, they're gonna know who they like, but they're gonna start sending you all the they're gonna send you that's who they're going to send you. That's who they're going to send you. Like, and I'm just telling you, if you don't believe me, get on these days. MC, obviously, you don't want to get on there, but for some of you men out there, even and this other thing too, that Bumble is by itself, but all of these other dating sites like Christian Mingle, Farmers Only, Match, Hinge, they're all owned by the same company. So why does the company have so many dating apps, but we don't see an increase? We're not seeing the increase in marriages. We're not seeing the increase in people like, saying, speaking to the highest heavens of like, hey, we met on a dating app. Like those conversations aren't even happening anymore. I mean, it's been a long time since I heard somebody speaks very fondly on a dating app, and you got the Tinders, they're also owned by the same company as well too. So, press your luck on some of this stuff though. But again, I don't think these dating are the way to go. If you're seriously trying to find somebody on there, it's not going to work. If you're just trying to clap cheeks, hey, there you go.
Hey, so you talking about the single life? I'm here to tell you, these married people be complaining too. Like if you want to see some dysfunctional stuff, join the marriage group on Reddit. There's nothing but people on
I'm
there
on there.
complaining about marriage. I think my husband cheated on me. My wife hasn't touched me in 6 months, and I'm
Oh
like, what the
man.
hell kind of marriages is y'all in? Because
Hey,
that stuff is not negotiable in this house.
yeah.
I don't
I
know what kind of marriages they got going on in there. It's crazy.
Yeah, I've definitely looked at the marriage groups on there though, and the relationships groups on there because, if you don't have like a vast circle of people like really like having those conversations, you really don't know what's going out there. But these people are damn serious about some of their marriages, and it's definitely telling me like, hey, if I see something wrong or something's off or wrong or something, that ain't gonna work for me. Like people are serious or know exactly what they're looking for, and then they're settling for a lot of things, especially like in the case of my wife hasn't did anything for me and wants to hang out or wants to hook up with the chick but doesn't want you involved. That's crazy to me. Like, this is what y'all put up
True.
for? Hell no.
Man, I literally saw a woman complaining. She said her husband hasn't touched her in a year, but she also said that she's 120 pounds heavier than what she used to be.
Yep,
And
bait and
somebody
switch.
asked her, because one of the things that they'll do is they'll try to say it's because of the kids. Somebody asked her how old her youngest kid was, and I think she said 4 or 5.
Oh,
So and she was complaining that the husband wasn't touching her, didn't want to do anything with her. And I'm just like, man, this is terrible, man. Like we
yeah.
we got we got. I've said this before, but married people and monogamous people are some of the laziest daters out there because they think that the goal has been reached and they just get lax with it.
Hmm.
Nah, you
Yeah.
got to stop doing that. But
Honestly, though, I feel like CJ probably has the best response to something like this, though, living the free agent life. And definitely go see CGA, though. But when it comes to like trying to find your place in this world with like somebody else, it's probably going to be very rare, especially if you're over 30 or you're going into your 40s. It's probably going to be very rare that you're going to find someone that kind of like is your, someone you want to marry because all the risk is on you. So if it goes south, then you're asked out and you got to restart all over again, especially if you guys have a kid. Like, some of these men should be actually glad that the women walked away. I mean in our audience, especially some of our videos, I've seen a lot of these men discuss, the harm that some of these women have done to them. And honestly, I think some of them will go back to them. I mean, just keeping it, 100, because if they haven't found anybody, they're like, oh, I'm going to die alone. Hey, everybody dies alone. But if you're going to want to be in some of these relationships, I don't think that's the answer either, though, because, and obviously I'm talking about people that are single, not you have a kid together. So but if you have a kid together, I believe you need to work that out as much as you can, as long as it's not like, something abusive or gambling or something super degenerate that would definitely erode a marriage. But outside of that, though, I think you got to work on that. But for the single folks, and when you get out here, you might start talking to your single friends so you can kind of get a lay of the land.
that's why I don't fault divorce is such a big problem right now. Because the truth of the matter is, if you're getting divorced, it's somebody's fault. Somebody tapped
Always.
out first, or somebody self sabotaged, or something happened where the other person. Nobody just. I know CGA, who you just acknowledged, and I listen to CGA too as a married man. I enjoy CGA show, but if a woman just says I'm not happy anymore, that is such a weak and lame
I'm
reason
not
for a
happy.
divorce. There something drove that unhappiness, and maybe it's because you are mentally unstable, or maybe it is because of something he's doing. But it's somebody's fault at the end of the day. But there's one more part of this clip I think we need to talk about. Tr,
Oh yeah.
jump to the 2 minute mark. Yep.
value. We found this chart showing in the attractiveness of how attractive you are in the women category. Like, are you in the 80 percentile, 10 percentile, 90 percentile? How many men are still interested in a woman that's this percentile of attractiveness? So it's a little bit of a crazy chart, but I'm going to put it up and we'll go through this together. So here's what it is. If you look at
Stop
the
right
chart,
there.
you see the female advantage.
Actually, let me share because I want to really make sure everybody understands what's going on
Mhm.
with this chart because this is what I want to share with y'all. Let me share really quick. Let's see. There it is. All right. So this is the male female attractiveness matrix. So full disclosure here, men and women typically don't view attractiveness the same way. Women more so look for resources in addition to looks, but ultimately we don't rate attractiveness the same way. So let me show you how to read this chart. So you start over here on the male side. Let's say that the women put you in the 60th percentile of attractiveness. So let's start here. If this is where you stand as a man, what you need to do is go this way, and as soon as you hit the pink, that's what you're going to get. So women that view you in the 60th percentile, you're going to get women who are what is this, the 10th percentile?
Holy
So
crap.
so essentially, what I'm
Think
telling you
less.
is, despite contrary to popular belief, this chart tells me that women have more shallow views on men than men do on women. That's ultimately what the takeaway is here. A couple things I do want to call out, TR, and I'm gonna turn it over to you. So here's the man at 100%. Obviously, the world is his. If you take it all
Hmm.
the way over here, he doesn't touch the pink until the 100% of women. So he can have his pickings of all of this here.
Yeah.
Now what typically happens is this 100 guy, he's going to dig into some of these women here. He's going to grab. He's going to and these women are typically sharing. These are the high value men that Kevin Samuels always talked about. So
Yep.
he can get something from here, something from here. All these women are sharing this 100 man up here, leaving all of these ninjas down here to fend for what's left. That's all I wanted to say, TR.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
That's actually a great way, a great representation on how men just need to win. Now, you might be in a 60. Actually, you want to go back to that, MC?
Oh, my bad. Yep.
All right. So just like MC said, if you're in the 60th percentile, you're picking of women. It's going to be a small percentage women. These are your, I mean, I would say under your 20 or maybe even 40. These are going to be all your
Less.
baby mamas. These are going to be all the high calorie individuals. These are going to be the ones with very problematic. Now, you're probably thinking like, how do I raise this up? This is just attractiveness. And like MC said earlier, women and men have, we have different levels of attractiveness. And for men, it's pretty simple. Like for most men, pretty is everybody's type. Sexy, pretty, that's always going to be everybody's type. Plain Jane, still, that's going to be everybody's type. But for women, I mean, they're rating you on not, they're not going off your looks in most cases. I probably would say that's probably like maybe 30 or 40%. But you get your money up, you get your health up a little bit, and you know, it's a matter if you're bald or not. I mean, money money boosts you from here or to here. Like, and from what I've heard from, you know, CGA, it's not like you got to be making like 100K. Like, as long as you're able to, like, you know, make a decent amount of money, you could probably get your pick of women around in this range. And if you want to go another level, get close to that 100, you're going to have all your options. But unfortunately, for a lot of men, we're conditioned to think, hey, you know, she has like 3 kids. You got to be able to take care of her. You have to be able to, like, you know, she's had a hard life, and every man in her life has been terrible towards her, has been mean towards her, blah blah blah, whatever sob story is. That ain't your problem. Like, no, for a lot of women thinking that this is very difficult, why they can't get a man, they're choosing to not have a man. They're choosing not to go to their friend circle, not to go to the guy that was a good date for them, but they didn't like something very minuscule about that person, about that man. They're choosing a bunch of reasons why they don't want to be with that guy, and they're holding out for that top one, that 100 attractiveness guy, which is probably like the top 1%. They're holding out for that guy, and that guy is telling them like, look, if I am going to be, rocking with you, you ain't gonna be the only one, and they're willing to put up with that. That's that's what you're looking. That's what men. If you can just win, you can keep moving forward. You can like keep improving on yourself. You're going to be in that level between 80 to 100, and this speaks more so towards single men than it does with married men, though, because hopefully in that case, though, you guys have worked it out and you're at a good level with each other. Obviously, married divorces are on the rise, but for the single men, like nobody out here is telling you what you need to do or how you can just level up. And then you level up by like it comes down to money. That's the ugly truth.
Yeah.
Get out here for cheaper or for on game, that ain't gonna work long term, and that's not gonna net you the best women that you're looking for.
Yeah, I was going to say that men can slightly change the curve on that graph by hitting the gym and getting their bag up and chasing their purpose. That's what they can do. On the flip side, if you're a woman though, you can flip this a little bit as well. And I'll use an example here. There's
Yeah,
a certain um, woman who podcasts, and even she admits that people say that she's not attractive. But a lot of her followers are men because they like the way she presents herself and they like the way that she talks. But this podcaster, just pearly things.
oh, yeah,
People go back and forth on how attractive she is, but what men are attracted to in her, I would tell you, is the way she presents herself. And if she actually believes the stuff that she's saying, then she's always going to have the attention of some man.
yeah. Yeah, and this, honestly though, it's really not tough for a lot of women. So what I see on a lot of dating apps, again, I'm the single one here, and I've been on these dating apps for longer than I would like to be, but I'm on there. And what I do see a lot of is a lot of these women when they get to in their 30s and 40s, they're breaking down. Some of them are they don't weigh as much as me, but they're getting up there in weight. Some of them have multiple kids and some of them are asking for a lot of things on their bio. The bio is supposed to be about you, but you're on there telling the world, telling the men, the pool of men that you're not going to even ever interact with what you don't want. And let it be a guy that they do want and that does all the opposite things that they're saying in their bio. They're going to make it work for that guy. So again, men, don't be out here all nice and everything. Just do what's in your best interest. Do what's going to be good for you though, because part of the other thing that I think we're probably focusing on that we need to mention as well too is that you have to know how to handle some of these women as well too though, because just because you got the money up, you got your body and you're in good condition, that doesn't mean that you're going to have a very good relationship with some of these women as well too, because we all know that women can be very diabolical, and I know men can be diabolical too, but the majority of our audience is men. And so when it comes to like having these conversations about what women will do, you got to be aware of that. You got to be ready for some of the things that are going to ask you, all the shit tests they're going to do for you, do at you, as well as like, hey, that's just my friend, or why are you tripping, why are you being so aggressive, or whatever the case is. And you're just asking a question like, well, why are you going out with your friends on a Friday or Saturday night to a club? Like, you're in a relationship. Like,
Yeah.
those are some of the things that you have to start putting your foot down. And if they want to walk away. They're going to need you before you need them in most cases.
Right.
Like, I have yet to be like, man, I wish I had a chick for, outside the physical. Outside of that, you're not going to really need them. You're not going to be like, damn, I wish I had so and so here. No, they're going to need you before you need them. And so this isn't like a diss towards women. This is just telling you the truth on how these dynamics work. And for the men, if you want top tier women, or between the 8s and the 9s, this is what's going to have to happen. And if you don't get 8 and 9, you still have to operate the same way with some of these women.
So, to the women who are watching this, here's how you can move up that scale. Kevin Samuels used to always say FBI and CIA. CIA for the fellas, FBI for the women. Be feminine, work on your beauty, hit the gym, and be inspiring. If you can do those three things and you actually mean it, you can slide yourself up that scale. I mean,
Yeah,
it
you're gonna
won't be
win.
to the yeah, it won't be to the 100, but you can definitely slide up that scale.
Hmm.
I've been in situations where I've been in rooms where all the women in the room were masculine as hell. One feminine woman walks in wearing a dress, being pleasant, knowing how to engage the crowd in the room, and she instantly snatches all the attention of all the men in that room.
Yep.
Oh snap, who is she? Let me go over here and talk to her and see who she with. Like I've seen this time and time again. Your femininity is your power. It
Hmm.
really is.
Yep. Hey, what was CIA?
CIA was confident, intelligent, and assertive, I think.
Okay, maybe
Yeah.
it was. Yeah, yeah. It's been a while since I heard that verbiage with Kevin Samuels. So, but all right, that is going to wrap up tonight's episode. Any last words, MC?
Yeah, man. I don't want to. Let's real quick with DEI, because I'm familiar with a lot of black women who lost their jobs. Seriously, I am. And I want to let it be known that I don't take any joy in this. But I also know that I'm not surprised any of this happened. I know you all are going to land on your feet, but don't take any jobs based on your race because at some point they're going to take it away from you. I promise you they are.
That's a very good
Try to
point.
look for stuff that lines up with your merit and your skill set. I know if we are truly going to be a country of merit, then there is no racism. Will we really be truly based on merit? That's yet to be determined. But the goal is to be that, and that's based on what you know, who you know, and what you apply.
Excellent. Yeah, that's a great closeout. And hey, fly, Eagles, fly. All right. See you, everyone.
Peace.